Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, sorry, then I got stuck. I just got started doing something else when I was waiting.
That's okay.
All right, let me put your information in. So hang on, don't move.
Okay.
Don't move. Let's see here. Oh. Come on. Okay. Let's see. 068. 0613. That didn't work quite. 6, 8, 6. Okay. All right. And this is TESL, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Great. Now you sent me stuff, so let me see if I can find that. All right, so you sent me two different things.
One's the directions and then one's
Right.
the article.
All right, hang on here. Let's see. So reaction snapshot. Okay, so I should look at both of them. Guidelines. Here's the guidelines. Guidelines, reaction papers. Let me finish clinical hours, some more clinicals, take your own hours. Each of these reaction papers, choose one of the articles, read the article thoroughly, and do the following in 2 pages. Summarize the content discussed in the article and finding. Don't worry if you don't understand some of the technical language. The key is to understand the gist of the article and the conclusions. Discuss whether there's anything in the article that surprised you. Discuss how the issue presented in the article relates to your experience at your TESL placement. Talk about any other reflections on the topic of the article, including life experience on material, learn TESL courses, double space, use a font of 12, pay attention to words that are more clearly thoughtful. Okay. Thoroughly. Summarize, discuss, anything that surprised you. Relates to your experience. Okay. So, all right, now let's see what you got there. Oh, right there. Where are we? All right, now I'm looking at this. Snapshot. And here's the article. It's 9 pages. Okay. And you've read the article?
This one, I think I only read a little bit of it.
Okay. So have you written anything?
This one, not yet.
Okay. So we need to look at the article. Is that what we're doing today? Okay. So let me start looking at it. The study investigates the progress and achievement of a sample of 40 ESL students in a large urban high school, or large urban school. Data for this study was gathered from official school records over a 4-year period, personal files of teachers, and anecdotal reports from students. The findings are summarized and statements concerning the implications. Okay. Purpose of this paper is to examine the progress and achievement of a sample of 40 English second language students who entered ESL programs in a large urban school district in British Columbia from 1981-1982. Although the focus is on a small group of students in one school district, many of the points raised speak to important issues regarding policy and provisions for the length of time it takes to learn English, and the numerous and complex variables which affect both the rate at which students are mainstreamed and their success in mainstream placement. The study offers one possible scenario for gathering information. This type of information which provincial represent district Congress network set. Fascinating. Okay. So, how are you doing? Are you understanding the article?
Yeah, it's.
Anything you don't understand?
I think what I really don't understand might be some of the certain words.
Okay, why don't you want to tell me what? I mean, I'll read. I'm on background.
Yeah.
Anything in that introductory paragraph you didn't understand up here?
In the background.
Or before that, the purpose of this paper.
No, wait. The cognitive.
Cognizant?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, need to be like cognizant is they need to be aware of.
Aware.
Aware of, yeah. So the information which provincial policymakers and district administrators needs to be aware of when they set guidelines for ESL funding and plan provisions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other words in that paragraph?
Yeah, I think that's the only one.
All right, let's look at background. Cummins reanalyzed data from a Toronto Board of Education survey of 25% of grades 5, 7, and 8 9 classrooms in the system. The survey included 1,200 immigrant students from a variety of ESL backgrounds. His reanalysis showed that it took immigrant students who arrived in Canada at age 6 or 7 or later between 5 and 7 years on average to approach grade norms. Oh, interesting. In English, verbal, academic skills. So you understand that part, right?
Yeah.
This finding is consistent with other. Boy, it takes a long time for you to catch up. That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
This finding is consistent with other data for ESL, French immersion, and bilingual programs in both Canada and the United States. For example, Swain and Larkin reported that it took students in French immersion programs approximately 6 years to read as well as French in their native Francophone peers. Wong Fillmore, in her work with Chinese and Mexican American students, has gathered data which has led her to become convinced that it may take most learners from 4 to 6 years to acquire a second language to a high enough level of efficiency to be able to deal with its use in the classroom. Okay, so it's quite a bit of time. Liba and Rosier at home shown in their evaluation of successful bilingual programs that is only in the later grades of elementary school that students achieve U.S. norms and academic skills. Okay, it takes a while. Others have also shown that there are large individual variations, ones which are not easily explainable by simple causal relationships. The rate of success which grade appropriate levels of achievement are attained. Okay, so how about that paragraph? Anything you're not sure about?
That Francophone thing.
Okay, a francophone is someone who knows French.
Knows French?
Yeah. Where's that word? Go for it. Studies French, knows French. I'm trying to find out where is it here. I saw it. Where is it?
It's on the first page.
Okay. Let's see, but it's
In
in
the background one.
I'll find it. Okay, good. So, for example, Swain and Larkin, French version. So, okay, you don't know French. You're in the French version class. It takes you 6 years to read as well in French as native Francophone people who were born in France. That's who they are, native Francophone peers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are taking this French immersion class, and it takes you 6 years to get up to speed to where the native Francophones are, that those people who were born in France and know French from when they were babies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Keep going.
Yes.
Nothing else so far?
Yeah, I think it's only that one.
All right, let's see here. These research findings, while relatively few in number, are not only consistent but cogent, and clear. You know cogent?
It's not the cognitive one, right? That's that one.
No, cogent is I'm looking it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's understandable. Cogent. Yeah, here. Cogent. Clear, logical, and convincing. Cogent. Here we go. Understandable. Clear, logical, understandable. So research findings relatively few are not only consistent, but easy to understand and clear. Yet across Canada, we still find ESL funding guidelines and teacher expectations limited to a 2 or 3 year period for provisions of additional language support. So do you understand that?
Yeah.
So they're thinking, oh yeah, well, we'll give you extra help for 2 or 3 years, but really it takes 4 to 6, and they're not aware of that. But they're not giving money. They need to funding guidelines. There's no extra money for those extra 2 or 3 years that these people need, these adults or children who are learning French need. Let's see here, I think it's French, maybe it's anything. Little attention will be given to program options and provisions for continuing to improve the students' linguistic competence after mainstreaming or for facilitating their integration into mainstream academic. So there they go. They get that extra 2 or 3 years of help, but the kids really aren't ready. And yet the money dries up. There's no extra money for them to get extra help for those 2 or 3 more years that they need to be on. That's what's going to make them level or on doing the same as their peers who were born here. Okay. The standard assumption of the current policy being that all ESL students can achieve full mainstream placement in a maximum of 3 years, and that this can be accomplished by providing additional support programs to learn basic English skills. We'll give you 3 years. That's all. That's what we think it needs. But they're saying, no, that's not true. It needs maybe even a third to either, another year or another 3 years for them really to learn it. If these issues are to be addressed, we need to gather a large body of sound data to present. So sound data means, I think, logical data in this case, to present to the policymakers and program planners on both the length of time required for ESL students to be able to succeed unsupported in the mainstream classrooms and on the factors which affect their academic success. So we need data. We need sound support. We need data. What they're saying, because otherwise no one's going to give you more money. Armed with this information of this type, we will be better able to appeal for adequate levels of funding, money, for ESL, and to develop intervention programs on a knowledgeable and judicious rather than ad hoc basis. You know what this all means?
Not that the ad hoc. What the
ongoing and regular and we're automatic, they happen, as opposed to ad hoc, which is just, oh look, they don't seem to be doing so well, maybe we should do something. But let's see if I'm right. Ad hoc meaning when necessary or needed, created or done for a particular purpose as necessary. So yeah, when okay, oh look, this one situation, we're going to give them extra help, as opposed to a regular, this is automatically what we do. Okay, not for one situation or another situation. Okay, yeah. Usually hear something like, we need an ad hoc committee. So that's a committee that, we're gonna create right now just for this one particular situation. And in this case, the program, oh look, Johnny's not really learning his English very well. We better have an ad hoc help for him, ad hoc, just for this one case. Okay. The study reported here is one district's pilot attempt to gather information of this nature. Following questions motivate the study. What the heck is that? How long does it currently take a student to progress from their full-time ESL placement on entry to a full integration at grade level? All right, you get that?
Mm.
Okay. How well does the student achieve once fully integrated? What areas look to be fruitful as possibilities for determining predictors of academic success? What procedures need to be developed to broaden the context of investigation for future research? Okay, anything you're unclear about there?
That would be the fruitful.
Fruitful. Fruitful is think about a tree that bears fruit, like an apple tree. Okay. If it's fruitful, it means what?
Oh, with a lot of fruit.
Exactly. So what areas here are fruitful as possibilities for determining predictors of academic success? Oh, you know what? If we give them an extra 6 months with tutoring, that looks like that will be a fruitful area, and it will help them succeed more in the classroom if we give them extra tutoring. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Anything else?
I think that was it.
Okay. The study, subjects and setting. Subjects 29, we're 20 primary aged and 20 secondary age. Okay. Primary represented different backgrounds, 6 to 8 years. Okay, 9 of the 20 elementary students were born in Canada. Rest came from different countries, different languages, 12 to 16. Elementary school attended is a large multi-student. Majority of the students are. School is a large population. Students, English is not the native language of their home. Large multicultural. All right, that's good. Anything you're fine there, probably, right? Under the study.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, it's telling you who these kids are, essentially. All right, now we're on procedures. One elementary and one secondary school offering full-time ESL programs in the 81-82 school year were randomly, so the schools were randomly selected from this big pool of 22 elementary and 15 secondary. Okay, that works. Okay, wait, I'm sorry, I lost my place. In the elementary school, 20 students were enrolled in full-time ESL programs in the year chosen. These programs are self-contained programs. They stay together in one room as a group for much of the day. The ESL teacher is responsible. Progress and achievement of all the students enrolled were researched from point of entry, till the end of 85-86. Secondary school. What is that?
That's the train.
Are you home?
No, I'm not home. I'm just, but right now I'm where I am. The place is close to the train, so that's why I was like train.
Right. You're inside a room now, right?
Yeah, I'm in the room.
I don't have to worry about the train running you over. Okay, good. 20 students were randomly selected from the 60 name enrollment list. Okay, and the progress and achievement of these students also were researched from point of entry until end of the school year. Okay, so it sounds very random. The data from the study were gathered from official school records over the school years, personal files, and anecdotal reports. Okay, how about so far? Anything you don't get?
I think I get.
You know what anecdotal reports are?
That one's. I think that and that word,
Anecdotal.
not
Anecdotal.
really a lot, but I think I've seen that, maybe heard of that word.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, we've heard
amazing.
of that. But it's so an anecdotal report is just a story. You know, the one of the teachers, they told a story about little Johnny. That's
Mhm.
an anecdote. An anecdote is a very short story. That's what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, you see that word all the time.
Yeah.
Good one to know. All right. The findings, elementary school. Out of the 20 students whose progress and achievement were examined, 14 were fully integrated in grade age appropriate class without any form of additional language support. Oh, that's pretty good. 70% by the end of the 4-year period. Okay. 70%. The record showed that one student was fully integrated after 2 years, 9 after 3 years, and 3 after 4 years. Okay. Thus, 50% of these elementary students were mainstreamed after 3 years and were no longer receiving ESL support. For 20% of the students, it took, hang on a minute. So 10 students of the 20. Oh, yeah, so 50%. Okay.
Mhm.
Thus, 50% of these elementary school students were mainstreamed after 3 years and were no longer right. And 2 students were almost fully integrated after 4 years, but were still receiving 1 30-minute period per day of additional language support. 3 students in the sample were unable to cope with the progression towards integration and were placed in special ed. Oh, and then a child died. That's so sad. Of the 14 children who were fully integrated, 5 were doing very well indeed. They were obtaining at least B averages in their academic courses and were reading at or above grade level. 5 of the students were doing reasonably well. They were obtaining passes or C grades in their content courses and were reading less than 1 year below grade level. Their teachers judged that these students could still benefit from some additional support. Okay, language support.
Mhm.
So far, so good?
Yeah. Mhm.
Teachers were not sure, however, that a return to the ESL resource room, the only other option currently available, was what was needed. So they didn't know that was the right place for these kids to go. 4 of the students who had been fully integrated were having problems in their grade appropriate classes. They were failing at least one of their academic courses and were reading at more than 1 grade below the mean. Interestingly, these students were all whereas they appeared to be successfully integrated in grade 3, their teachers judged that the move from primary to intermediate had placed far greater demands on these children's cognitive language proficiency than had been anticipated. Okay. It was felt that it was critical for these children to be rescheduled into language support programs if they were to catch up with their native speakers peers in the years to come. Once again, however, it was unclear if the kind of language support available was the best option. So how about that? Do you understand all that?
This one is like their result from what their study.
Yep,
Right.
that's right. Anything you didn't understand?
I think most of the stuff I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't too much that was too weird. Okay, so secondary. So that was primary, right? Assuming. Yeah, elementary school. Secondary. Okay. Secondary. There it is. Out of the 20 student sample examined, 60% were fully integrated, age appropriate classes without additional language support by the end of the 4-year period researched. 1 student achieved full integration in 1 year, 2 students in 2 years, and 9 students in 3 years. Only 2 of these students had failures reported after integration. 1 student failed the typing. What? 1 student failed the typing 9 and computer 9 class, or typing and computer, whatever courses. The other failing student had been fully integrated 1 year after her arrival in Canada. In her first year of mainstream classes, she completed the year and passed all of her grade 9. Her The following year, however, she failed all but PE in the first term, at which point she transferred out of the district. Sounds like there's some other issues going on there. Discussions with school personnel indicate that there were social variables which seriously affected the academic performance of the student, and the student's ability to handle grade level courses was much more accurately reflected by the preceding year's achievement record. Okay. Thus, school records indicate that 12 students were 60% were fully integrated, and once integrated, were able to achieve at a satisfactory level. Approximately 2/3 of the students were achieving C or C+ averages. It is not possible to know, however, whether or not, as some of the teachers suspected, language was still a barrier for some of these students, and if they would have obtained a higher grade average had they been receiving ongoing language support. The other third of the students had very high level grades, A's, B's, and these students have now graduated and are attending community college. Okay. So far, so good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, nothing too interesting there. Let's see here. There were 40% of the sample studied who, for a variety of reasons, were not able to achieve full integration in 4 years. A review of the record showed that these students can be divided into two groups. One group consists of 4 students who are progressing towards integration, but at a slower rate. These students are all almost fully integrated into age-appropriate mainstream classrooms. They're still receiving some form of additional language support, however, either in small group or individual tutorial programs, or in transitional English classes. Fair? They are receiving passing grades in their content classes, but their teachers judge that the extra help is crucial for their continued success. So far, so good?
Yeah.
The other group consists of 4 students who were all unable to cope in the regular ESL stream. These students all have very special learning difficulties, which have been assessed by school psychologists and reported to a district screening committee, who in turn placed them in a special education class. Okay, to return then to 2 of the questions which motivated the study. Number 1, how long does it currently take a student to progress from full-time ESL placement on entry to full integration at grade level? 2, how well does the student achieve once fully integrated? Response to question 1, the results from the secondary and elementary samples were remarkably similar and are summarized in the chart below. Interesting. Okay. Do you understand so far?
Mm-hmm.
And the chart is fine, right?
Yes.
So we're moving on. In response to question number 2, it appears that in elementary school, 25% of the children were doing very well. Another 25% were coping, but some 30% were still either receiving or were seriously in need of ongoing support after 4 years. In the secondary school sample, almost all 11 of the 12 students who have been integrated were, according to the records, achieving either very or reasonably well. 1 student experienced socially related problems 1 year after successful integration. Okay. It's important to note, however, that several teachers did raise questions as to whether or not some of those successful students were, in fact, realizing their full potential. And in all cases, students reported long hours. Long hours, 4 or 5 hours per night. Home study. These students undertook to maintain their grade means. 4 students were still receiving or ongoing additional supports to maintain grade means. Okay, so far?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. You understand it all? Yes?
Yeah, there's a sample of answering the question. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. The sample size is small, but the similarities in the findings between the elementary and secondary students suggest that some tentative conclusions may well be in order. Number 1, that the assumption that a maximum of 2 or 3 years of ESL instruction is sufficient for all students to achieve grade level norms is quite unrealistic. Number 2, that initial and ongoing support appears just as critical for very young ESL learners as it is for secondary aged learners. Okay. So like, even if you're getting it young, you still need some extra help.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And number 3, that is the assumption that successful integration in one grade means successful integration in the next grade. That is, i.e., that the language demands on students do not increase at the higher grade levels. What? I gotta read that again. Wait. Assumption that successful. All right, so it gets harder as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3. Number 4, that a range of provisions, levels of organization, personnel need to be considered to help students after mainstream placement. Okay, these may include other less widely used models, such as mainstream integration within class support booster programs, and short-term bilingual testing. Okay, so there's things that need to be done. In the process of analyzing the records and talking with the ESL and content teachers, several variables emerged as a response to the third question. What areas look to be as fruitful as possible as possibilities for determining predictors of academic success? There are probably many more, but the following general areas were the most apparent. Okay, so far we're okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Probably more of the following areas would be most apparent. So this is the fruitful. Hang on, sorry. There are probably many more, but the following general areas were the most apparent. Previous educational background, that is, the number of years of schooling, type of education system in the home country, linguistic competence in L1, it's learning 1, right? Type of courses taken, and grades achieved. In the nature of, well, these are my place. Where was I? More than a number of years. Competence. The nature, there we go. The nature of the initial ESL experience, that is the length of time in ESL program, type of quality of the program. The nature of the initial ESL experience, read that already. The nature of the integration processes, the gradual and supported, for example, gradual and supported, or sudden, total, and unsupported. Courses tried first, attitude of receiving teachers, learner variables, and learning style characteristics. For example, age, sex, and attitudinal characteristics. The use of the L1 as a learning resource. Social style with characteristics is social ability, talkativeness, and activity preferences. Okay. The influence appears on schooling, the influence of home on schooling. It is not anticipated that any single variable or even any group of variables will adequately predict academic success. Rather, the thought is that the variables listed above would be a good starting point to look for different patterns of interactions among the variables, which in combination are likely to predict success for students, or conversely, which are likely to predict students at risk. Okay, so far so good?
Yeah, the one on the page before of the so-called about the characteristics, where is the example of the age, sex, and then the altitudinal characteristics is
All right,
that
wait,
like
hold on, how does the paragraph start?
it's not the last two sentences. It's on the page before toward the end. It's it. The line before that word is learners' values and learning styles of characteristics. And then example age, sex, and attitudinal characteristics.
All right, hang on a minute.
The one above.
Oh, I see it. Wait, here, I got it. Okay, so go ahead now, ask me your question.
That word.
Which one? Attitudinal?
Yeah.
Okay, like what kind of attitude do you have? Are you positive about things? Are you negative?
Oh.
Okay. Do you want to learn? Are you bored? Do you just want to go back to sleep? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Learn. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else?
I think I'm good. Yes, I'm good. Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
This is not easy stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like it's fascinating stuff either. Okay. All right. Where are we here? Yeah. Okay. So I think we are at one question remains to be addressed. Is that correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, good. We're almost done. Thank God. This is dry. Very dry. All right. What procedures need to be developed to broaden the context of investigation? Great. So in other words, what do we need to do to find out more so we can investigate this more? School boards are very rich sources of information. They keep records on students. They employ school personnel who have their own documentation and internal record keeping systems, and they have students who have lots to tell about the language learning experience. This study found that the district records yielded information on such factors as first language, country of origin, age on arrival, length of residence, number of schools attended, placements, and grade scores, and as such were useful for gathering data as a response to questions regarding rate of integration and achievement levels after integration. It was also found that progress records could be useful in determining gross predictors of academic success and in identifying content areas where ESL students are experiencing the greatest difficulty. Okay, so far?
Mm-hmm.
The records do not, however, reveal the full story. Structured interviews with students and teachers collecting data on variables, such as those discussed above, were considered necessary if we seek to go beyond gathering data. Okay, if we seek to go beyond gathering data on rate and predictors of achievement, and to begin to design a range of provisions for ESL students after mainstream placement. In order to do this, we must gather information which will give crucial insights into how we might more closely link the learning process with the histories, experiences, potentials, and dreams that ESL students bring to school. For this type of information, that the students and teachers are obvious, yet unexploited gold mines. And whereas the anecdotal reporting procedures used here were informative, it was felt by both teachers and researchers that structured interviews would have been a satisfying and more productive means of data collection and could profitably be extended to include students. All right, what do you think so far?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Conclusions. We are getting there. In conclusion, it is perhaps useful to summarize the findings and main points raised in the study. Number one, in keeping with the findings of others, this study showed that the assumption that ESL students, either primary or secondary, acquire full proficiency rapidly in 1, 2, or a maximum of 3 years. Okay, so having this idea is unrealistic, that it just can take 1, 2, or 3 years. Okay. 2, the data also suggests that students who have achieved full integration need careful monitoring to ensure that help is available on special occasions or critical periods when needed, and that such help should be allotted to students with language problems or obstacles to students achieving their potential regardless of their grade score. Number 3, this study also found that from the analysis of progress record cards and from anecdotal reports from school personnel, that certain areas look to be rich sources of predictors for academic success. So anecdotal is totally different than data, okay? And so they're saying, hey, we need more data, you know. Anecdotes are good, but we also need more data. They include students' previous educational background, linguistic competence in L1, initial ESL experience, integration profile, use of L1 as a learning strategy, learning and social style characteristics, influence of peers, and influence of the home. Okay. Let's see, hang on. I also found that from the analysis. All right, so these are all where you can get other information to help figure things out here. Finally, number 4, this study found that while the analyses of progress record cards was productive, the anecdotal reporting would have benefited from more structure. Okay, more data, more data. The suggestion is that structured interviews would be a better procedure for data collection in future studies of this kind. It also felt that data gathering should be extended to student interviews. All right. So structured interviews, right? Same kids ask the same questions at the same time. And then what do we get? We put that becomes data. Okay. So far you understand?
Yeah.
All right. Last paragraph. Woohoo. The main point of this paper is, of course, that while there are those of us who may be convinced by works such as Cummins, Wong, Fillmore, and or by our own past experiences, that existing policy and provisions for ESL programs need to be carefully re-examined. The conventions remain largely unchanged. There is a distinct need for more studies on a larger scale and across diverse settings, such as the one reported here. Studies which will yield data, which will speak powerfully to issues related to length of time needed to learn English and to expanding our knowledge of the variables which critically affect ESL students' level of achievement. With studies of this nature, we will be better equipped to advocate and to plan for policies and provisions which will adequately address the multiplicity of needs of our ESL students' needs. The multiplicity of needs of our ESL students' needs, which are currently being masked under the common label of ESL students. All right, what do you think of that paragraph?
This one's kind of like the summary of the whole article.
Yeah, that is. We've got the 4 points there that's summarizing them. And then they say, okay, here's the main point. We need to re-examine these existing policy and provisions for these programs. We need more studies on a larger scale, more diverse settings, such as the one presented here. Data, data, data.
Yeah. But what does the allotted in the bullet point number 2 mean? The allotted?
Okay, hang on, I gotta find it. Here we go. It's allotted, it just means given.
Oh, given?
Yep, that's all it means. Given to students. Hang on a minute. So I think it's like Extra help should be given to students when language problems are obstacles to students' achievement. That's what it is.
Then the
Multiplicity, which
Yeah,
I don't know where that is.
toward the end of the paragraph, or like the second, like the will, it starts with the will adequately address the motive of.
Is it in the number? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or after that?
Just in the so-called in the final point, that paragraph, toward the
Okay,
end,
main-
toward the very
Main part
end.
of this paper?
Yeah.
That one?
Toward the very end of it.
All right, hang on. Okay, with studies of this nature, we will be better equipped to advocate and to plan for policies and provisions which will adequately address the multiplicity, all the different needs,
Oh,
the multiplicity of needs. So multi is
Mhm.
many. Yeah, the many needs. Adequately address the many needs of our ESL students. That's what it means.
No. Mm-hmm.
What do you think? You understand it?
Yeah, it's like for this whole article, it's mostly a lot of facts for this one. Compared to the other one I had we read earlier, the one that's like really about their life story, didn't really have that many facts. This one is more like have a bunch of facts and
Absolutely.
yeah, more factual. Yeah.
But I want to go back and look at what that paper is asking you to do. What I did read the article thoroughly. Discussed in the article, including findings. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. It just is, right?
The kind of the idea.
Understand it all. So what they're really trying to say here.
Mm-hmm.
The article to conclude. And then you got to talk about, is there anything that surprises you? And how the issue presented in the article relates to your experiences at your TESL placement. And remember, I mean, so what essentially they're saying here is, these kids are not given enough support.
Mm-hmm.
They need more years of funding, of support. So from your experience, would you say that's true, what you've observed?
With the school I was at, there seems like almost all the students are like not all from here. They're like immigrants, like almost everyone that was at that school. They were the school, the one that's like in charge of the placement stuff. He or like during one time, during like a certain time in May or something, the school provided the students with like a book bag and some school supplies and shoes.
Yeah.
They were giving them free like essential stuff that they need for school.
Okay.
And
all right. Did they give them more? Did they give them more help?
I think not all of the students that like receive something seem like they have like go to a different teacher and then have like another teacher teach them the assignments. Those that receive something weren't really in that kind of program really for like learning. Yeah, they were in the normal classroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
What grade were you looking at?
I was in second grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it might be too early to tell.
Because I know like for there were like three of the students maybe have IEPs or something. that
Okay.
one, the IEP students, they went to with their teacher, that like diversity teacher.
Okay.
That teacher came and took them to like do their assignments. That teacher did come for like a little bit, like half an hour
Yeah.
to work on assignments, and then they brought the student back to the classroom, the homeroom classroom.
Okay.
For that one.
But okay, so they're getting help now, but it's hard. Well, the problem is you don't really know from your experience whether, how it's going to be when they're older. Are they still going to get help? Because they're so young now. They're getting help. Yes, that's what they say. But, instead of just getting 3 years help, they say, well, a lot of these kids need 4 or 6 years help. But how can you tell? Because you're just watching second graders.
Yeah. And I think I was also in the ESL program stuff, but I did the test and then I tested out of it when I was like in 4th grade.
Oh, okay,
So,
good.
and then after I tested out of it, I was in that ESL program where they take me out the classroom, learn mostly like grammar and sometimes maybe like history with the grammar and stuff. And yeah, it was mostly grammar and a little bit with history sometimes.
So did you feel like, wow, I could have used more help? Or did you feel like you got it out?
I think for me, I might have needed more help because like after I left elementary school, I went into high school. I was struggling the first 2 years.
Okay,
Because
all
I
right.
was getting a lot of assignments and then like a lot of assignments, and then I had to learn like another language, which was Spanish, and I was struggling with that too. So yeah.
All right, so so you can use that information. That's what you could put that in the paper. This is so even though I don't know that you have a lot of experience from what your observations were, but you have your own personal experience from growing up, and that's going to be valuable. All right, that's good. Life experience, that's, yeah. I think that you got a lot to say here, so that's good. It's only 2 pages.
Yes. I think for that, but I didn't really find anything interesting for this. Because this one's mostly a lot of facts.
Yep.
And then
were you surprised by their conclusion that these kids need 4 to 6 years rather than 3 years?
Maybe about that part.
Okay, so
about the amount of years.
They need like double what they're being given.
Yes.
Third, like they need either a third to a half more, or what? No, maybe it's more than that. Or what they're, a lot more than what they're being given. So that could be surprising for you. Discuss whether there was anything in the article that surprised you. That would be it. Okay. Okay. And so this article saying, hey, we need more studies here. We need more data that's going to prove this, because some of these kids need more help. And the only way they're going to get it is if we have more data that proves this. Okay? All right, so you're feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
I think you can do it. I think you got it.
Yeah, I think for this one, I mostly will have a bunch of like the personal stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
For this one.
Definitely. As long as you seem to understand it.
Yeah.
You just need to summarize what they're saying, what's their, what are their conclusions, and what are their suggestions, that sort of thing, and what's your personal experience.
Yes.
Okay. Are you coming on Wednesday?
This Wednesday I'll be in person. Yes.
Oh, in person. Okay,
yes.
Good. I will look for you in person then. Okay.
Yes.
And you're coming. I can't remember without looking, because we're changing things around. Is it 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? I have no idea.
This coming week is 2 o'clock.
Okay, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. I will see you at 2 o'clock on Wednesday then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Have a good day today. Okay.
You too. Thank you.
All right, take care. Sure.
Bye-bye.